Hello everybody and welcome back to Kono Sekai wa Fukanzen Sugiru, episode 4, in which we will explore the unfinished village. I assume at least that's what we're gonna do because, I mean, probably, what else, right? We arrived to that village for a reason, I like to assume. But yeah, what happened in the previous episode? Let's start with that, right? And that one is already dirty. I need to use another one. In the previous episode, we finally made it to the temple dungeon thing place where Haga's friends are, or I mean, technically they still are there, except one of them, except the leader who went off to try and complete the game, thinking that maybe that is what will free them from their I wanted to say curse, but it's not a curse, they're just stuck. It will free them from the game. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna say it. Getting inside was no easy feat. I mean, it was easy for Haga, right? Because the entire dungeon has like 4 different patterns of enemies and traps, and you can deduce which pattern it is just by the first enemy, or rather just by shooting an arrow into an entrance. If it hits a goblin, it's pattern something. If it doesn't hit anything, it's another pattern. If it bounces, it's another, etc., etc. So it was very easy for Haga. It was not easy for Nikola, though, not even in so much as fighting the monsters and avoiding the traps goes, because Haga covered her there, but he kinda forgot to mention that there can be some gold on the ground, which Nikola noticed, and, slowly, oh, piece of candy, oh, piece of candy, oh, piece of candy, kept following it until she met the coin boys. A bunch of overgrown, huge coins with human faces, who did not attack her, who just put her to sleep and brought her as a sacrifice on an altar to a big hand with a human face. Imaginative, I'm gonna say. Of course, Haga arrived in the nick of time, defeated the hand monster, and freed Nikola from the sleeping curse, or whatever it was. And then it was revealed that his friends are still here in this very room, with the sacrificial altar. They are here, but in various states of being stuck. One of them tried teleporting, but teleported into geometry and is now halfway stuck in the floor and slowly sinking. And we don't really know if anything can be done about it. Haga tried removing him, but it doesn't really work. Meanwhile, his other friend, whose name I forgot, the elf lady, got stuck in an infinite loop of death and rebirth. Because she had invincibility turned on, she jumped into an insta-kill trap pool thing, and she gets killed in that pool, and then rolled back to like half a second ago, and then falls in, roll back, falls in, roll back, and it's just an endless cycle of death and rebirth, which is a very interesting way to implement invincibility. I gotta say, not how I would have done it, but I mean, I'm not the designer of this game. Meanwhile, one more friend of theirs tried experimenting with changing some variables regarding speed of flight or position or something, and just flew up into the sky to never return. And their leader went off into the world, gathered a group of adventurers, a group of probably not fellow players. Although, I mean, we don't know. Maybe other NPCs, maybe actually fellow players. I don't know. But he went off with the goal of possibly finishing the game, and maybe then they will actually be freed. Meanwhile, Haga was left at the temple to tend to the others, try to remove them, or free them rather, unstuck them. But for a year, Haga could not manage, and so he decided to set off with the thought that maybe reporting all of the bugs is gonna be what frees them. Right, after that reveal, after Nikola also figured out more or less how it works, right? You have the tablet, it gives you superpowers. There are other people who have tablets and they have superpowers, right? Stuff like that. Nikola grabs Haga's and Sumida's tablets out of nowhere, floats up a pillar, looks at them, and then goes out, asks for food together with Haga, and then it is revealed that it is not Nikola, but rather Tesla. A very interesting naming scheme, I gotta say. Nikola Tesla, right? Tesla, who is the essentially the virtual game master of the world, right? She's the AI who directs the world. We're gonna spawn a boss here, we're gonna create a world boss there, we're gonna start an event here, we're gonna raise prices there, lower prices there, stuff like that, right? To give the players something to do to keep the world feeling alive. She has no control over the players, which makes sense, and that's why she needs to enlist the help of a player, the help of a debugger like Haga, to prevent the other testers, the other debuggers from using their debugging tablets, because that is actually what is preventing them from leaving the game. Or rather, that is what's preventing them from noting down all of the bugs and thus presumably being able to leave the game. Or at least that's what Tesla claims, right? And so she sends Haga on a mission to grab all of those tablets, destroy them, eat them, for example, like Tesla did, or destroy them in some other way, and that is a hope for them getting freed. That is a hope, and that is a goal. Something very important for every story, and I'm really glad that it's, you know, it's a part of the story here, because we were kind of sort of aimless up until that point, right? Like we had the vague goal of, well, log every bug, but you know, we don't know how many there are, we don't even know if there's a finite amount. Maybe after Haga already goes to the other side of the world, some bug pops up where he started. Maybe he didn't think of something as a bug, but it was a bug, and it's, you know, very, very fluid, very hard to quantify, I guess. But now we have a specific amount of people, we don't know how many, but a specific finite amount. Presumably no new testers are going to be added to the game, so if we find all of them, or at least the ones who are abusing their debugging tablets, and we take their tablets and we destroy their tablets, that's where the goal is achieved. That's where we reach presumably the end or the beginning of the next arc, perhaps, when it turns out that destroying all those tablets actually doesn't free us. It's just, you know, Tesla wanted us to do that because it's better for the game, but it was never said that we're gonna be free. Maybe, I don't know. It's a long ways until that point still. Then during our travels, we made it to a village. Haga and Nikola made it to a certain village that seems unfinished and glitched. Also, Nikola already started noticing that the world is, you know, kind of sort of weird in places. There are like floating fish and some, you know, glitching movement and stuff like that. It's kind of weird. And this village is kind of the epitome of weirdness, it seems. It's very undecorated, right? There are just plain buildings, a plain wall, not even many props. The villager that arrived to welcome them was floating above ground, T-posing to, you know, assert dominance. And in general, it really seems like a very unfinished area of the game with a bunch of very unfinished NPCs who, for some reason, are using different colliders and different skeleton and different animation sets than the other NPCs. Why the fuck would you make your game like that? Why not reuse those assets? But regardless, that's besides the point. The village is very, very glitched, very, very unfinished, and we're gonna have to deal with that somehow. I can't see how that's gonna be any sort of a danger to Haga and Nikola. I don't think it will be. I'm actually not quite sure what are we gonna get out of this village. a bunch of bug reports, but that's essentially it. Maybe the evil testers are gonna meet us there. I don't know. We met them briefly in the previous episode as well when they were playing human darts, just to show that yes, actually they are scum. You know, they like their pickles. That humanizes them, but ultimately they're just scum. Just so you know, just so we don't forget it. So yeah, I'm assuming we're gonna start today's episode in that village. We're gonna progress from there and see where it takes us, right? Shall we? To do that, you will need your subs, of course, to follow along with me. There we go, that's better. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. And I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want to monetarily on Patreon, YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching episode 4 of QA Sekai in 3, 2, 1, go. I'm gonna preemptively lower the volume. It's still loud. It's still loud. What the fuck, Kodansha? But the village was bugged. Stop right there, criminal scum. Everybody's T-posing. I mean, you can try blending in. But they don't have animations for some reason. Floating is a matter of incorrect colliders, but sure. Amazing. I'm assuming mentioning that you're a seeker is sort of a, maybe not a backdoor, but it like gets you out of those sorts of confrontations with NPCs. You're gonna run out of those report papers, my dude. Right, the dog mascot creature. Amano. Both NPCs, I mean, that much is, I would think, for certain. Although it wouldn't surprise me if the dog was actually a player, a debugger. I mean, who would resist making it their, you know, avatar? There's no tablet on him, though, so... Maybe an NPC... She has a bag on her back, though. That seems about the correct size for the back tablet, right? But yeah, the dog is probably an NPC. Maybe one who also kind of sort of gained sentience like Nikola and is now trying to catalog all of those oddities. Essentially an NPC doing the job of a debugger. I didn't get a good comparison between the elves' back bag and Haga's. I think they might have been the same, actually. Isora Amano. That's the dog. Is the cat... of course. Oh, this guy is not deposing. Whomst the fuck? An NPC sent here by the evil debuggers? Okay, so there is some sort of a contact from the outside world. You get a notification that, yes, it's finished. Can they not send anything but that? Fixed. And it is fixed, okay. So people on the outside can, like, be fixing the game. So why can they not free those debuggers? Is it malice? Or is it... well, not ineptitude, but inability to do so? What is that? Right, the suspicious bearded guy. Why were you peeking out of the door so suspiciously? Oh, pretending to be one of them, huh? Yeah, everybody's moving correctly now. What gives? Oh, okay, so he knows of the T-posing. Is he a debugger? Oh, the evil... oh, right. He's suspicious that they are the evil debuggers, right? No, probably just an ability. Feather. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think invisibility is a graphical bug. Maybe footsteps are, though. You could probably stand up, though. You could probably still spot those footsteps even standing up. Yeah. Interesting, right? I mean, usually you just barge into someone's house and just smash the pots, get the gold, open the chests. Drawing a manga? Hmm. So he is the debugger. How else would he know manga? You're aiming at the chin. Okay, so he was a debugger. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She probably wouldn't like a, pool of blood on her carpet. Just kunai embedded in a bread. Oh, so I guess he detached himself from that group. Mm-hmm. Is there any point testing console commands if they're just given to the debuggers, though? Not really, I'd argue. So, yeah, I mean, not the greatest explanation, is it? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Right, sickly, in bed, and the quest is probably that you have to bring her stories because she can't leave the world, the home, right? Sure, if it makes you happy. I mean, someone has to, right? Oh, I was wondering what's up, but yeah, she's just reading the manga. I mean, she probably never experienced something like that in her life, both in the way of a story and in the way of presentation. Yeah, apparently she can. Can she read Japanese then? I mean, I guess the world just uses Japanese as the language. Yeah, that's a nice workshop. That's a big monster going somewhere. Oh, that's good. Cool. Assuming he died by, before he was able to uh, give them the tip that Haga is in the village. Because it could very well be that he gave them the notice and then just died. Why'd you leave the bagstone, though? I guess maybe so that they don't come after him, right? Chances are that if he had the bagstone, he would be a threat to them. I'm going to call you back. He would be a threat to them, and they couldn't allow for it, right? Tell me a story then. But I can't go out and see the world. Mm-hmm. Apparently there is. Interesting that you don't need to give them like a, specific quest item, for example, but can give them just about whatever. So, how does he end up traveling with Haga? Yeah, basically. Different work, but the same principle. Can it even be done, though? I mean, if she's been programmed to be bedridden, right? You could probably make her like a wheelchair, right? Grab an artificer and. Or put them on a cart. Put her on a cart, right? There are ways to go around it. And I'm assuming that's the big monster arriving. Oh shit! Well, she's dead. And he did give them the information. A dragon, apparently. Well, shit, that's gonna be problematic. The entire village has been destroyed, not even like a one specific building. Chances are slim, I'd say. Yeah. Having your work be appreciated is one of the biggest, boosts to productivity that you can get. Nantene. I mean, that's basically a marriage proposal on both sides. Oh, she's alive! Just about barely, but color me surprised. Give her a healing potion? Yeah, probably a good idea. Haga should have a healing potion as well. What did Haga see? Her bottom part missing? Probably, yeah. Well, shit. Oh, they actually showed it. I did not expect this show to go this heavy. I did not expect this show to go this heavy. Hmm. Entirely possible, yeah. I wonder why. Tesla, hello. What up? Nikola did get resurrected, though. As far as we know, her entire village got, you know, back from being destroyed by dragons. So you probably can do something about it, Tesla. Unless it's maybe like, I don't know, recurring quests that involve the death of some NPCs so they respawn, and NPCs that are just there. It would be really bad, like, game design still, though. Which, I mean, it's not surprising at this point, seeing how this game is designed. But it really would not be great game design if you could permanently kill a quest NPC. Because that means that quest is now bricked for every single other player. They miss out on whatever rewards, on whatever achievements, stuff like that, right? So, did the creators of the game fucked even this bit up? Or, I don't know, is there something more to it? Its entire village is unfinished. So I guess it's possible that the quest itself is unfinished, so she hasn't been given the flag to mark her as a quest NPC. I don't know, man. Okay, sure. Let us watch it again, shall we? Yes, we shall, as we always do. I did not expect this show to go this dark. I really did not. I really thought it's going to be, you know, mostly funny, wacky adventures with bugs and glitches and flying fish. And, you know, a side of the bad guys doing bad things, but vaguely, you know, impersonal, right? Like the bad guys are not killing the people that we care about, right? They're just killing random unnamed NPCs, but this is a person, a character that we come to care about, so of course she's safe, right? She's gotta be. But it turns out not, and she dies in a very horrific and gory manner as well. Stuck in T-poses. Default pose for 3D character model. Yeah, it's either a T-pose, which is hands to the side, or an A-pose, which is like at a bit of an angle. A-pose usually allows the... usually leads the character to have less, like, stretching of their model. But yeah, T-pose, of course, that's a classic. You had animations from there, yeah. They're just floating above the ground because they were not given animation, which is, again, very weird, because usually animations are tied to a skeleton. And usually a skeleton is shared between characters of the same, you know, general shape, right? Like all humanoids share a humanoid skeleton. It can be resized, it can be shifted around a little bit, but they share the same skeleton. And if they share the same skeleton, they share the same animations, or at least some of them, like a basic walking animation, for example. So it's very weird that humanoid characters with a humanoid skeleton were not, like, automatically given walking animations. List of all the villagers, yeah. I think the mentioning that you're a seeker is basically just you know, flicks a switch in their behavior tree or whatever drives them into friendly, right? Immediately. That doesn't change my job, yeah? You gotta take note of all of them. Good morning, Amano-sama. I thought it might be another two NPCs. Like, this NPC would be a chronicler, essentially. His role is to chronicle the world as it is. But because the game is in the state it's in right now, and some characters seem to change a little bit from the original programming, then maybe he also started cataloging all the anomalies and bugs and glitches. And that's why he's gonna have the knowledge of bugs and glitches and stuff, and he's gonna join our team because something. Because maybe he wants to bring more stories to her. Yeah, that's also the backstone, I think. Yep, and that's the same bag that Haga has. So I assume she's also the bagger that's gonna join the team. I really thought that Haga's team will consist, like, solely of NPCs, right? NPCs that might change during the course of the game, right? During the course of the show. Like, Nikola clearly gets some way to use magic. Maybe it's via the skull, maybe it's via a class change or something else, but she does get it. And I thought something similar is gonna happen with the other two. But I think the other two are also players, the buggers, after all. Isora Amano. Even the cat is T-posing, but this guy isn't, which should be suspicious, shouldn't it? Reproducibility rate 100%. No difference in color between the paper and the stone. Bit of an animation error, I'd say. We'll get a notice when it's fixed and go see ourselves in the morning. Right, so there is some contact from the outside, and people can, like, the game developers can change the world from the outside, right? They can fix the bugs, which means they have a way to influence the game. Why don't they then? Right? If they have a way to give NPCs their animations, Presumably they have a way to fix any other bug. They should have a way to leave a note, right? Like a paper note item that you pick up and read, and the note says, hey, yo, you're stuck because this, and that. Do this, and that to be unstuck. They could do that. They could implement it as a dialogue with an NPC. They could implement it as anything else, right? If they have control of the game, they could take the bug stones from the players who are misbehaving. If they have control of the game, they could, finally free them. It really seems like they have the ability to do so. Why don't they then? That's a big question here, isn't it? The question is not why can't they free them, but rather why don't they? Why won't they? Because they have the ability. They just don't have the desire to do so. Interesting. Good morning, yeah. Got some stories. Like immediately obvious character archetype, right? A sickly person who cannot leave their house and gets their stories from their loved one, their father, an NPC, or another NPC, an adventurer, or whoever, right? Plenty of archetypes like that. First thing that comes to mind is Witcher 3, Blood and Wine, the one guy who has Geralt escort him around Toussaint, taking pictures of animals because his daughter is sick and cannot leave, and he needs the pictures for her, right? Does he even need to pretend to be an NPC by T-posing? It's not like the NPCs would notice or would think him different because he's not T-posing, I don't think. Or is he trying to blend in to hide from his fellow debuggers? And he's a mage. Yeah, he can use invincibility spell. Feather. Right? Race of cat people. He does not look like a cat, my dude. He does not look like a cat. I mean, his mouth is cat-like, right? The 3-shaped and 2 tiny fangs up top, 2 fangs at the bottom. That looks like a cat, yeah, but the rest, it's a fluffy dog. Unless it's like a Scottish fold, which is the one race of a cat that comes to mind that has their ears folded down. But I don't know. Either a dog or a Scottish fold. Or whatever that cat is called. I started T-posing, but then switched. Yeah. You probably don't need to go on your force to notice those. Interesting that the game would have NPCs tell you to leave their house when you enter, when you barge in, right? Usually NPC houses are where you get your starting stuff, right? You start the game, spawn in a city, and then you just go on around through all the houses, grab all their like rags and broken brooms and 5 gold here, 3 gold there, some apple for healing, some, right? That's usually how you start a game. So it's interesting that NPCs are able to notice it and be against it. Bug sheets. Okay, so he's using his bug sheets to draw manga, apparently. Yeah. A manga about a sickly, bedridden girl. Where have I seen it, huh? Yeah, he's a former debugger who escaped from the evil team because he did not like what the evil team was doing. He did not like the evil team's evilry. 2 guys who met in Adan. Yeah. Claiming to be testing console commands, and that's a bullshit claim because it's not something you would test for. Pro manga artist. Not a pro, but he could be, right? Like everybody tells him, yeah, that's a damn good manga. I have a feeling that if we get like an epilogue, eventually, even the source material is going to end, and we're gonna get an epilogue where they are now. Something tells me Amano will actually, you know, make a manga and go pro. Amano goes pro mangaka and makes a manga about what's her face? Lou, I think, right? Amano writes a manga about Lou, or including Lou at least. Can't easily leave my house. Part of the Tell Me a Story sub-quest has ability to evaluate stories. Procedurally generated sub-quests for specific NPCs, apparently. Which again, very weird that she's not marked as an essential NPC. I am going to call you back. Excuse me very much. Nikola can read manga. I wonder if something's up with Nikola. Like, the character who is explicitly there to evaluate stories being able to read manga, sure, that's fine. But why is Nikola able to? Is it my belief that the world might be getting more and more real? Game world getting more and more real. Hence Nikola being able to read manga now. Hence the excessive gore. Right? Those NPCs slowly cease to be NPCs. This fake game world slowly ceases to be fake. I think that's what's happening here. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I think so. That's a nice cozy place. I was hoping that this merchant got conveniently caught in a path of a dragon or a big monster or something and got squashed and thus was unable to deliver the message. And the dragon will attack the village, yes, but they're gonna defend the village from the dragon. Everything's gonna have a good, nice ending. That's what I thought. Forgotten villages. Far from the road that connects the Bayle Highlands and the capital, you can find sporadic forgotten villages dotting the landscape. Rare visits by traveling merchants are their only source of information from the outside world. Wanted system. Guards will be dispatched immediately to arrest anyone who violates the kingdom's laws. The king's seekers are no exception. Apparently they are, if you can use the Backstone. 6 months. I've decided to go. I'm leaving my debugger stone behind. Why? It's a big question, isn't it? Are we a traveler? Yeah. I want stories. He has stories. That's how they bond. Nobody ever liked his stories. Nobody ever wanted to read them. One has to wonder, was it because they were bad? Probably not. Or was it because he was maybe not putting them out anywhere, right? If you just write your stories for yourself and don't put them out there, chances are nobody's gonna read it, because how? Right? Maybe that's why. Maybe he did not have enough confidence to like send his manga to an editor and stuff like that. That would be my theory. And because he got a lot of positive feedback from Lou, and now positive feedback from Nikola and Haga as well, he will, you know, when this story, when they are free from the game, if they are free from the game, he has enough confidence to actually pursue his dream of being a mangaka. And the same like me, yeah? Any recipes that could heal her legs? You gotta question if it's even possible, right? Like, if he's been programmed, if she's been programmed explicitly to not be able to walk, seeing how every NPC here apparently has a whole separate set of animations, maybe she doesn't even have walking animations, right? So that's a concern. Just squashed. This really fucking surprised me. I mean, there's a stampede of a dragon, something big is coming around, sure, that I expected, but I did not expect Lu to just die here. I really did not. Now, thankfully, the, like, silver lining here is that Haga and Nikola will be presumed dead, so they're gonna be safe for a while, assuming the wanted posters are not circulating still, which they very well might be. Yeah, she was the one who gave him confidence. She was the one that he was able to bond to more than any human before. She was the first one to appreciate his stories. She was the first one to express her desire to read more. And she ends up like this. I thought this is where it's gonna end. Not the episode, but Lu's injuries, right? Like, Haga is gonna see it and make big, huge eyes. Nikola is gonna see it and make big, huge eyes. And that's where we end it. I did not expect us to see this. I really did not. I really did not expect this show to be this explicit about its dark undertones. Right? I'm not gonna say this show did a 180 right now, no. We already had plenty of dark undertones here, right? We had NPCs being impaled on a castle spire, we had human darts, we had all that stuff, right? There has been plenty of death and gore and blood and darkness. But it was never in relation to a character that we connected to. It always was those, like, impersonal random NPCs. This is not a random NPC. She has a name, she has a story, and she was not safe. She was not safe from what happened. NPCs in this world aren't that different from normal people. More gore than the game's supposed to have. Yeah, I really think it's the game slowly becoming less and less of a game. If you used your powers, each NPC in this world is unique. The cycle of life and death exists here just as it does in the real world. What of Nikola's village, though? Haga tried to save this village X amount of times. He failed each time, so presumably each time all of the NPCs were killed, burned to death, the village was destroyed. And yet the village was back for Haga to attempt it again. Or is it that it's never the same NPCs coming back, it's different NPCs this time? Maybe. Maybe that's how it goes. That would be an explanation, right? Like, every single NPC is individual and unique, and if you kill that NPC, they're dead, but another NPC can come in their place, right? You kill a shopkeeper, the shop is closed for a couple of days, and then a new shopkeeper comes back. You kill a quest NPC, and the quest is unavailable for a couple of days, and then a new NPC comes out with the same quest. Maybe something like that, right? This village eventually rebuilds, and the new NPCs replace the NPCs that were killed. Someone else comes in to replace Lu, for example. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe that's how it works. This is a great phase. It's always fun seeing those, like, you know, fluffy, wuffy, marketable, plushy characters get serious. It's always fun. I mean, the context of it, that's not fun. I would rather Lu have not died, of course. But I really like this voice from him, and this face, and this, like, you know, sketchy line, and the orange background, and the music, right? Shit's getting serious. And the music. And we have another member of our party. Yeah, first it was just Nikola, Then it was Amano as well. And lastly, she doesn't have a name yet. And lastly, her will also join us. Yeah. There we go. That's the episode. So. Good episode that I think the biggest thing that happened here is the establishing of additional stakes. So far, the stakes have been they're stuck, and the stake is that Haga will not be freed from the game. Then a stake was added that Nikola might die. She's not a player, she's an NPC. If something happens to her, chances are it's permanent. She's not gonna, respawn at the next anchor stone or whatever it's called in this world, right? But now we have the added stake of we could potentially find a character who we like, an NPC, because who else? And that character might die. And not in a, good quote-unquote way where they fulfill their life's desire, save someone, sacrifice themselves, then they say their final words and disappear in a cloud of sakura petals, right? Not in a romanticized way like that, but in a very immediate, brutal, gory, painful, impactful way. Off screen even. Because that's what basically happened, right? Like, no real attention was spared to her death, to her injury that caused her death, rather, right? The house was stomped. That's it. And I think that perfectly encapsulates how the evil debuggers think of it, right? They just stomped the house. That's it. No biggie. Let's go further. Let's go back. Let's play some human darts, right? No screams, no nothing, because that would not impact them ultimately, because that's how they perceive the world. Their actions have no real impact, do they? It's all fake anyway, right? And only then, when we see our actual characters, our main characters, notice what happened, that's where the whole entire drama is shown. That's where the lighting changes. That's where... right? Yeah, that's certainly an additional stake, because now, whenever we meet an NPC, we know that they do not have plot armor. We know that if we meet a merchant, a traveling merchant we really like because he's fun to be around and he sold some stuff cheaper to Haga and he cracked some jokes and he became a father figure for Nikola or whatever, right? We know that he's not immortal. He's not immune from death. He does not respawn. He does not rebirth. If he's dead, he's dead. And the same pertains to every other NPC. So yeah, that's another bit of stakes added. It's also important to establish that the NPCs are unique and individual, and if they die, they die. Nikola apparently being the sole exception, because we've seen her burn, we've seen her die, and yet she came back. So we don't know what's the deal with that. Can Tesla actually bring them back from dead? That would be, that would be an explanation of it, wouldn't it? The explanation for the village that Haga tried to save burning and then coming back is explained by, brand new NPCs coming and settling in the same place. Sure, okay, fine. Nikola is not explained by that. Because if Nikola was dead, then someone else would take the place of the innkeeper's help NPC, not Nikola. But it's explicitly Nikola who came back and went to Haga. For some godforsaken reason, she's special. We just don't know what that reason might be. Also interesting that that Tesla can't actually do anything about Lou dying. I would have assumed that she was the one who brought Nikola back, so I would assume that she has the power to do so. Maybe Nikola's quest was special, in that it's the only place, or one of the very few places, where NPCs respawn how they were, because it's a recurring quest. But this is also a recurring quest, giving an NPC stories to evaluate. So why would she not resurrect, right? Something fishy is going on, either with Tesla not telling us everything, or with Nikola being more special than we give her credit for. Either or both. Honestly, could very well be both. We'll see about that in the future, I'd say. But right now, I'm gonna say that's it from me for today, but maybe you guys have something more to add on the topic of this episode, of my reaction, my theories, stuff like that. If so, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of them? Like this video. No spoilers, please, I beg of you. Spoilers can go to my Discord here, also in the description. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future videos. Not only QA Isekai, but also Vistoria, Spice and Wolf, Bye Bye Earth, the Osamu Dazai Isekai, plenty others coming in the future. Click the bell to be notified when I go live, because I do sometimes. Support the channel if you want monetarily on a Patreon down below, where for $10 a month you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Wasu and others, and for just $1 you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. You can also support me directly on YouTube through memberships, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. And if you don't want to spend any money whatsoever, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word, it costs you absolutely nothing and helps the channel a lot. And now, with all of that out of the way, that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my one for Patreons: QB, Without an Ed, Rene, Yuki Alai, Dr. Watt, Friedrich Jung, Akamaster, Marsh, Fazel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them if you want without having to be crushed